Good afternoon, guys, and happy Saturday to all of your sunshiny faces. I know I told you guys yesterday. I don't know how it's actually, like, yesterday felt like Saturday to me, and then today, on actually Saturday, it felt like Sunday because we went to that, the family birthday parties and everything like that, and then Matthew actually went home right after the party because his girlfriend, I think, is having, like, her friend is staying over or something like that, or like a couple friends or something like that, like they're hanging out over at like their dorms, and so Matthew wanted to go back, and then he's also coming back next weekend as well. But because of that, he went home today instead, and so today felt like Sunday because he left. So yeah, guys, today was just like all off. So I went to bed late last night. I woke up late today, and I'm going to bed late again, which stinks, guys. I had like four good days in there, and now it's like garbage again, which stinks. But the only kind of good thing is that it was raining. It was actually almost snowing when we were coming home. It was like kind of like snowflakey, nothing that really stuck or anything like that, but there was a little bit of a, like, at first it was kind of rain, and then it kind of turned into snow, which was nasty. But guys, I'm hoping like this is kind of the end of that, because I don't think that we're really supposed to get like any more snow or anything. So I really couldn't do any work outside anyway today because it was really cold. I think it maybe got up to like 40s or something like that today, but for the most part it was pretty chilly. I think it's kind of supposed to be the same tomorrow as well. So I know I said yesterday, I was like, oh, maybe I can get out into the garden and like spread that mulch and stuff like that. I actually don't think we're going to be able to today or tomorrow, so I might be able to start like next weekend. That's kind of something though that I'm going to need to figure out what day is going to be warm for me to be able to do, because guys, we got a quote today on our fence, and we are probably going to wind up getting it very soon. It's just we have to get the material for the fence. So I think what my dad talked to the guy about was that we don't actually, I think, need to get to like the in-ground like stake thingies that are supposed to go in, because I guess they're going to be doing it with cement instead, so we don't have to worry about that, which is really nice. And I think cement lasts longer and it's like more like durable. The only thing is, I think if you like have to replace the post, you have to redo the cement anyway, instead of just like taking the post out or whatever with like the thing. But honestly, guys, the post that we have in our backyard, like we took all the fence down, the post and everything like that, but the in-ground like stake that the post goes into, we have to we couldn't get those out, most of them, like they either broke off or like something. So I think that they're supposed to, possibly my dad, I don't know if he asked or not, but I said to her, I was like, why don't you see if they can take those out too, because we tried to take some of them out, and like if they didn't wind up breaking, then they were just like a complete pain to actually get out. Like we'd actually have to like dig them up, and I think they go down like, I don't even know how far, like 2 or more feet or something like that, or like they're 2 feet long or something like that, like the stakes or whatever. And I know it's different depending on what the height of the fence is that you're doing, so that's why too I think they're just gonna wind up going with the cement. But it's kind of, it has its pros and cons to going with it. Like I said, if you had to replace a piece of the fence or whatever, you'd have to wind up doing all of the like, you know, do the concrete again, which does kind of stink, instead of just having to replace like the stake or whatever, which I think is a little bit easier, again, if something does wind up happening. Anyways though, guys, today though, when we were at the party, me and my mom were actually going to ask my aunt about like the family Bible, because I told you guys how we have this like one family Bible that we have, actually, I'd never seen it. It has like a lot of the like records that were kept by our family and stuff like that in the Bible. And so we had, like I said, the photo like scans or whatever, that I think my mom has a copy and my grandma also has a copy as well. Me and my mom actually asked my aunt if we could borrow it, guys, which she said we could. And so I actually have it, guys, which I am like oh my gosh, the thing is like falling apart. The pages are all faded. It is like crazy. But there was actually some pages in there for some reason that we don't have copies of. So I'm going to probably wind up rescanning it and also taking pictures of like the actual like Bible, guys. But my figuring is that it's actually, I think, close to right around like 100 years old, which is crazy, guys. So I'm actually going to show you guys that. This is it, guys, and like I said, it is, I cannot even believe the whole binding is kind of like coming apart and everything like that. But yeah, this is like our 100-year-old family Bible that has information that I used to actually figure out a lot of our genealogy all came from this Bible, which is crazy. And like I said, my aunt let us borrow it so that, again, we can take like photos and copies and stuff like that. But one of the things that I thought was really interesting, which was one of the things that we did not have, was actually this paper, which you guys can see like how old and faded and the tape that's on here and stuff like that. Like, I can't even get over like how old and vintage this is. And like, again, it has like all of our information in here, which is crazy, and like, you know, can tell us where we came from. And so this actually was a letter that my would be my great-great-grandfather got from his cousin, who actually, when he came to the U.S., was actually staying with her originally, which my mom thought that she was in Boston, but it looks like, and from what other information I was able to find, was she was actually from New Hampshire. So this was actually a letter that she ended up writing to him in response to his a letter he had sent to her. And like, all the writing on here too, guys, is a ton of like spelling mistakes in here too. But the fact that like this is, I think, at least 50 years old. I think it was from the people she's talking about in the letter. I traced it to sometime between 1950 and 1952, I think, because of when some people she said had passed away and some people that she said had not yet passed away. So that was kind of when I think this would have been. But this is just this letter. I don't actually know for sure. I couldn't find like a published date for this actual Bible, but from what we did find was that these Bibles were actually kind of common, like company or whatever that ended up printing these Bibles, that these Bibles were actually pretty common during that time of when we think it was dated back to. Again, I think it was my great-great-grandfather's Bible, which again would have put it probably around maybe about 100 or so years old. But I'm serious, guys. This is like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm actually holding this right now. It's crazy. Which my aunt had in like a desk, actually in a bag, in a desk in her basement. So we're borrowing this for a little while and then gonna give it back to her. But I'm still like in awe of this thing, guys. It's just it's crazy. So that's what I was up to, deciphering a little bit more that was in there as well. But like I said, guys, it's so cool to see something that I had, like some of the pages that were in there like had, you know, the scanned copies of and stuff like that, but to actually see it and actually hold it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. Because I don't know who scanned it, but there were like pages that, now that I look at it, were actually supposed to be two pieces together, and they weren't. And so I couldn't actually make out like where the piece was separated. I couldn't make out what was in there, but then when I saw it together today, I was like, oh, that makes sense. I could actually make out names and stuff like that that were across like the part where the two pieces of paper weren't together anymore. And there was a whole page in there that I didn't even have, like, it wasn't scanned. So like I said, I'm going to probably do that too, but I was on a rabbit hunt again today, looking up stuff that I had found in there, and again trying to kind of decipher that note. But actually it makes me want to ask my aunt like if she has anything else, like letters or things like that that were old, because again, that's a really old letter, like that's over 50 years old. It'd be close to 70 years old again, if when I think that it was written in like the 50s or so, it'd be close to like 70 years old, that piece of paper alone. I know the Bible's way older than that, but there's other little pieces of papers and stuff like that in there as well, that I actually thought were part of the Bible, but they actually aren't. They're just separate pieces of paper. And so like I said, I want to ask my aunt if she has anything else. I know she has a lot of pictures, because when my great aunt had just recently passed away not this past December, I think it was the year before that. And she had brought a whole bunch of like those photos and stuff like that to the wake when we were there, and so I really wanted to like see some of those photos as well and scan those as well and like keep digital copies of them. I think I was telling you guys about that, but that has pictures of like my great-great-grandfather and great-great-grandmother, and so like those pictures in there along with my like great-grandma. There's even, I think, some pictures of like with my grandma in there as well, because that was my grandma's grandma and or grandparents that there were like pictures of and stuff like that. So I want to see from her what other information and stuff like that she has. I know she was talking about too, I heard her mention it, like some videotapes of like relatives or something like that, like telling her stories that she actually, like actual VHS tapes that she had from, I think, relatives like telling her or giving her information about like family stuff as well. So like anything like that, even if it gives me a small little detail that helps me in the long run find something else out, is really cool. Or finding other things too, like I said, reading that letter was just like, it was so cool because it felt like, you know, the way she wrote it to, again, my great-great-grandfather, sounded like she was just talking to him, you know, the way that she would write it. Because it's kind of like, you know, the way that you'd write letters, I guess, back then. It was kind of more like you were just talking on the phone with somebody, you know, so she'd be like, oh, and I have to tell you about so-and-so and stuff like that. So reading it from, you know, that was just really cool. It felt like she was actually telling a story, like, to us that we still gotta read, which is, like I said, guys, the whole reason that I love doing this. But I've never seen a letter, like, or read a letter, like, that's from somebody in my family that's that old. So that was really cool. Which, like I said, guys, is like one of the reasons I love doing this. So anyways, guys, I will see you all in tomorrow's vlog. If you guys did enjoy today's, make sure you guys give a big old thumbs up. If you guys are new, we'd love if you'd subscribe, and I'll see all of your sunshiny faces tomorrow. So bye, guys.